I'm adjusting to all of this attention. I'm typically a shy kind of person in a social setting, so I'm just.
The story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard continues to take a dark and troubling turn as she dominates both social media and mainstream news outlets due to the severity of her past crimes. The intense scrutiny on her life has only increased since her release, with people closely monitoring her every move. What remains perplexing to many, including myself, is how she managed to capture such overwhelming media attention. To many, Gypsy Rose is seen as a manipulative, cold-hearted individual, a pathological liar, and a woman with a complex and controversial love life. While the public's perception of her is widely negative, there is also a stark contrast between how she sees herself and how she is perceived.
Just trying to take it one day at a time, but with the massive amount of platform that I have, the 6 million followers on Instagram and TikTok, I really
perceived by others. Gypsy Rose presents herself on social media as a public figure, author, influencer, and advocate. However, I find it problematic that she labels herself as an influencer and an advocate, especially when her actions do not align with these titles. While she has indeed written a book and garnered public attention, the term advocate carries a specific meaning. An advocate is someone who supports or defends a cause, often in a legal or public setting.
I want to get into advocacy work. I feel like with that big of a platform, with my story, I think it resonates with people because there's so many layers to my story.
Although Gypsy Rose has been associated with prison reform efforts alongside Kim Kardashian, her involvement seems more self-serving than genuinely altruistic. It appears that her primary focus is on promoting her own image rather than actively contributing to the causes she claims to support. Her social media is filled with content about her books, television appearances, and her pregnancy, which seems to be leveraged for personal gain rather than kept private as she once claimed. Her use of her pregnancy to generate content suggests a lack of sincerity in her advocacy efforts. Ultimately, Gypsy Rose's actions do not reflect the qualities of a true advocate. If she were genuinely engaged in advocacy work, she would likely showcase it prominently online, as she has done with other aspects of her life. The fact that she is not doing so suggests that her claims of being an advocate are more about self-promotion.
And I feel like, people feel if it could happen to her, it could happen to me, it could happen to anybody. And I think it just has a lot of layers to it that interest people so much.
Than making a meaningful impact. In her pursuit of self-promotion, Gypsy Rose Blanchard has seemingly tried to portray herself as someone who, after being released from prison, genuinely wants to help others. However, it's important to remember that, at the time, the Kardashian family also capitalized on this narrative to boost their ratings, with little actual work being done. To put it bluntly, it's quite troubling to see advocacy being used as a tool for self-promotion, but that's exactly what Gypsy Rose has done. She has a history of manipulating people and situations to get what she wants, as we've seen with how she manipulated Nick Gojon. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, so feel free to share them in the comments below. It seems that others share this sentiment, as one person commented that Gypsy Rose is an advocate only for herself and no one else. Another pointed out that she's solely looking out for her own interests. The general public is slowly beginning to realize that they're being misled by this charade. It's becoming more evident that Gypsy Rose is nothing more than a self-promoting figure who uses others and causes to advance her own agenda. What's even more surprising is that she believes she can achieve success despite her tarnished reputation. Take, for instance, her attempt to brand herself as an influencer. It's almost laughable. For someone to be a successful influencer, they need to have a spotless reputation, yet here she is, endorsing makeup products and trying to persuade people to buy them. But realistically, no one is going to be influenced by someone with her background, especially when the internet can be so unforgiving. When you think about it, many influencers have been cancelled for far less, often because they upset their fans or made a minor mistake. Their entire careers can be ruined over such incidents. And yet Gypsy Rose, a person who was involved in ending her mother's life, thinks she can thrive in this influencer role. It's quite ironic. One commenter even noted that, in their opinion, she is definitely not a beauty influencer. To wrap up this discussion, it's clear that Gypsy Rose is attempting to erase her past and start fresh, which in itself isn't inherently wrong. What I find concerning is her attempt to use the internet to become famous, capitalizing on the notoriety of her crime. Personally, I wish her parole conditions had included restrictions on her internet use, as many others do. It just doesn't seem right for her to seek celebrity status based on such a dark chapter of her life. Even though her parole doesn't currently prevent her from being online, I believe it's only a matter of time before more people see through her and she is finally canceled for good. Let me know what you think about everything we've discussed today, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more conversations like this.